Hello, I'm Neil Morgan, your York County Administrator. Hired by the Board of Supervisors, one of my most important responsibilities is overseeing the day-to-day operations of county government. As part of that, the annual operating budget and the capital improvement plan, our major financial plans for the county, are probably the thing that we spend the most time thinking about and working on, and probably the most important thing from the standpoint of your elected officials, the Board of Supervisors, and probably as for you as citizens. Along with the 2 deputy county administrators, we oversee 8 departments made up of various divisions, a total of approximately 720 full-time employees, the second lowest employee per capita level in the Hampton Roads region. This year, our York County fiscal year 2017 general fund budget to provide services to the residents of York County is $135 million and approximately $600,000. That is up from $133 million and $400,000 in 2016. The number 1 allocation of funds in York County is to the York County School Division, as is the case in most Virginia localities. Number 2 is public safety. This is a very important area for me and for the citizenry and for our elected officials, and it's also the area in the budget that is directly under the control of the county government. Specifically, that includes the Sheriff's Office, the Department of Fire and Life Safety, and the Department of Emergency Communications, where we're at today filming this presentation.
Medic 5 responding to R2 for a fracture patient 1.
Beyond that, we have Public Works, a major operational unit of the county responsible for activities ranging from maintaining our sewer system, solid waste, and facilities maintenance. We also have our Department of Community Services, which includes the Parks and Rec Division, as well as our Senior Center and many other important programs such as Head Start and Pre-Head Start. Beyond that, one of the services that you're most familiar with, and very important and a significant effort in county government, is our libraries operation. York County has 2 separate budgets, the operating budget and the capital improvements plan known as the CIP. The operation budget pays for salaries and benefits, maintenance, and the costs of daily county operations. The CIP budget pays for infrastructure like storm drains, facilities, fire stations, fire trucks, parks, and schools. In other words, those things that the county invests in that have a long lifespan. To pay for the important functions of county government, state law allows us to levy certain taxes. Most importantly, the real estate tax and the personal property tax is what we rely on for over half of all county revenue. We're also allowed to collect taxes on certain consumer items, including a percentage of the state sales tax, a meals tax, and a tax on hotels. Almost 2/3 of York County revenue comes from property and other local taxes. This revenue pays for about 80% of non-education spending to run the county. Average home value in York County is around $300,000. That equates to a tax bill based on our current property tax rate of approximately $187 a month. Of that, 57% goes to county government to take care of services, and the York County School Division gets the rest, about $51 million, which is about 40% of the overall school budget, along with an important contribution from the state, currently estimated at $63 million. That makes up the vast majority of the rest of the school division budget. Looking at everything by category, you can see that 69%, or more than 2/3, is spent on just 2 areas, public safety and schools. The major considerations in putting together an operating budget and a capital budget really don't change that much from year to year in York County. Fundamentally, it's about people. A very large percentage of our budget is spent on the people that provide the services you count on. To retain a workforce, we have to provide competitive salaries, competitive benefits. We have to be concerned about an aging workforce, retaining the people we've got, training the new people, retaining those folks. We also have a county with many aging facilities. Many of our schools were built in the 1970s. Many of our public buildings were built in the 1970s. And all of those require renovation, ongoing maintenance, in some cases replacement. We also have to consider the economic environment of the region, the state, and the nation. While we tend to focus on the county specifically when we try to make a budget work in terms of the arithmetic, it's very important to understand that the county's budget environment is driven by the regional economy. Unfortunately, in recent years, Hampton Roads has not been performing as well as many other major areas of the country. And this is largely explained by a reduction in defense spending and reductions in federal spending. So what happens in Hampton or Norfolk or Williamsburg has a direct effect on our operating budget here in York County. The Commonwealth of Virginia, which provides more than half of the funding for the school system and supports the county budget in various lesser ways, is a major driver in how we put a budget together in the county. I'm pleased to report that county revenues have finally gotten back to the level they were at in 2008 before the Great Recession. The overall financial environment is one of gradual, steady growth, which gives us some options as we plan future budgets. In thinking about the arithmetic of our budget, we always think about the real estate tax rate and the total amount of revenue the county receives from real estate taxes. This is because it is by far the largest source of revenue for the county. The bottom line is real estate taxes are growing again, but we are not returning to the boom market of the early 2000s, and it's fair to say that revenue growth has not kept up with inflation in recent years. At this time, I believe I will be able to recommend a budget which addresses some of our most pressing priorities without a tax rate increase. Those priorities include compensation for our staff, support for the York County School Division, investment in infrastructure, and plans to anticipate future changes in the county and things that support the Board of Supervisors' strategic priorities. 2012 was the last year the real estate tax rate was increased, and that was a direct result of the closing of the refinery and the loss in revenue from the Great Recession. Revenues coming back from existing homes and businesses are particularly important in York County because our prospects for new development and growth in our tax base are quite limited. I think many of you realize that over 40% of York County is non-taxable land, including federal government properties such as the weapons station, the Coast Guard base, and others. While we enjoy much of the green space, for example, lands controlled by the Park Service, and that's a great quality of life benefit, it also means that the prospects of future development in the county are relatively limited. As we consider particular recommendations for an operating budget and a capital budget in any given year, we always need to keep in mind the basic drivers of the budget environment in York County, on the revenue side as well as the expenditure side. The things that we will always make a priority in York County budgets include the school system, public safety, and our major operating systems. Now I would like to focus on what we're facing for the budget in fiscal year FY 17-18. As we consider that, first thing that everyone needs to realize is that at any one time in county government, we're basically dealing with three different budget years. We have just completed our audit of the year that ended on June 30th, 2016. We're in the middle of administrating the budget for the current year, which is the FY 16-17 budget, and we're now trying to figure out our recommendations to make to the Board of Supervisors in the spring of 2017 for the fiscal year that begins July 1st, 2017. As always, compensation for our staff will be a high priority. This is especially critical in a time when the labor market is tightening, the economy is improving, and we have many employees nearing retirement age. Beyond that, we need to maintain our critical infrastructure. We have aging facilities that require reinvestment and replacement. We need to make our plans considering what our revenue base might be in the upcoming fiscal year. One piece of bad news is that the long anticipated closure of the Yorktown power plant will commence in the next fiscal year. We've been notified that the coal turbines will be shut down, and so we have to absorb a rather significant revenue decline from Dominion Virginia Power. The other things that we're trying to figure out that will impact the revenue side of the budget include the condition of the state economy and the kind of budget that the Commonwealth of Virginia will provide, most especially for our school division and secondarily in support of county government. Fortunately, York County is in a strong financial position. We have a long tradition of prudent financial management, we have good reserves, and we have low taxes. I don't believe there's any challenges we're facing in the upcoming operating budget that we cannot reasonably handle. Having said that, we can't stop time. Our facilities continue to age. The pressures to provide services and compensate our talented workforce and deal with the other issues we face continue to mount. Our next capital improvement plan, which will be recommended as a supplement to the operating budget for FY 17-18. The CIP in the form that the county is currently implementing represents a 6-year investment plan for long-term facilities and long-lasting equipment, both for the counties and the schools. On the county side, the highest priorities in the capital budget will include a new Grafton Fire Station, an addition to the Yorktown Library, and major equipment investments for fire and life safety, as well as support for public safety in such areas as our 800 megahertz radio system, our mobile data terminals for sheriffs and fire and life safety, and important reinvestments in our facilities to include such things as security upgrades, roofs, air conditioning, window replacement, things of that nature, to make sure that our investment in county facilities is protected. On the school side, I appreciate the superintendent and the school board support for recommending a capital improvement plan that I believe is sustainable in the long term by the county. I believe the superintendent would agree with my characterization that the plan allows for major reinvestment in upgrades in many of their schools and foresees the design and construction of a new elementary school within the next few years.
Just kind of going down the list for fiscal 18.
In order to help me prioritize the CIP budget that I recommend to the County Board of Supervisors, we have established a review committee that hears presentations from the various departments as well as the schools to consider their near and long-term needs. This group is chaired by Deputy County Administrator Mark Carter, and they evaluate the county's needs, the condition of infrastructure, our strategic priorities, and all of the reasonable considerations that go into considering requests that far exceed our financial ability to fund them. In the end, with the help of the committee, I'm able to provide a rational recommendation to the Board of Supervisors that takes into account our most critical capital improvement priorities. There is a relationship between the CIP and the operating budget. While it's difficult to explain, the more money we borrow in the CIP, the more money we have to put in future operating budgets to pay that bill. It's kind of like putting too much money on your credit card and then having to make ever larger payments over time. So the key consideration as we recommend a capital budget is addressing the most critical needs of the county and the schools, while at the same time not putting so many projects in that 6-year plan that we really can't afford to pay for things in our operating budget in the out years. And the 6-year plan gives us the flexibility to make adjustments each year as circumstances warrant, both in terms of the county and the school's needs, as well as in terms of the economy and how the operating budget is performing. Like every budget, there are always challenges, opportunities, and needs that cannot be satisfied. However, I'm confident that the recommended budgets that will come before the Board of Supervisors this spring will address the most important priorities of the county, including, as always, our public schools, public safety, the necessary infrastructure, and all those things we need to support the quality of services that you as citizens of your county expect of your county government. As we move through the budget process, there are certain things that you as citizens can expect. By early spring, I will make a formal recommendation to the Board of Supervisors, both on the operating budget and the capital improvements plan. As part of that, we will have an advertised public hearing, giving all of you an opportunity to come before the Board of Supervisors and address your concerns. We will also provide other opportunities for public comment addressed to myself and our budget staff, and the Board of Supervisors will conduct a series of work sessions where we review some of the more significant aspects of the budget before they make a final vote and make final decisions on the budget, probably during the first week of May in 2017. Thank you for watching this program about the York County budget. To prepare a budget and manage the finances of the county require the dedicated efforts of all of our excellent county staff and divisions and departments throughout county government. In particular, managing a budget requires the work of the Department of Finance and the Budget Division on a year-round basis. Managing the finances of the county are among the most important responsibilities assigned to me in my position, and I thank you especially for your attention to watching these important details of the upcoming FY 2017-18 budget.